Most of your day.
Next stop, Sherry.
We have made it through to midweek and so glad about it, right? So we've got a lot to get to between now and 4 p.m. Let's just go over a few of the things that we're monitoring in this first hour that we have here together. We are kind of listening in to Chicago Police Superintendent Larry Snelling as he is speaking at the City Club of Chicago today. I'm going to listen to this for just a few moments before we press on.
Everybody up and throw away the key? Absolutely not. That's not going to solve our problems. But anything that we can prevent, we're going to do that. And any family who has suffered any type of atrocity, the trauma that these families feel. And I really have to say this. I think we've become so focused on why an offender offends. We've forgotten to ask the question about what we can do for those people that they've offended against. These types of crimes create a lot of trauma in families, in people, and our officers get to see that. They get to talk to these families. They have to go take the report
themselves.
Oh yes,
right?
The vicarious trauma is a real thing when it comes to policing. You know, I've said this a million times, and I'll say it again. I mean, you know, 1993, I held a 2-year-old, a lifeless 2-year-old who had been shot in the chest, and I can still feel it at this very moment. You learn to deal with it in a way. It never goes away, but you have to learn how to deal with that. You have to learn how to deal with that internal trauma. You don't want to suppress it because eventually it'll come out. And I'm much better about talking about it now. And that's what I want these officers to do. I want them to be able to talk about those things because it helps them cope with it a little better. But when you deal with those types of things and then you go out and you see a family that's going through it, it triggers it in you again. So our officers see this on a regular basis. And I don't want people to lose sight of the focus that the police department has on people who have been through these types of traumas. A robbery. Imagine a 70-year-old, 75, 80-year-old woman who had a couple of masked young people run up and stick a gun in her face, force her to the ATM, and have her withdraw cash, and then hit her across the head with the gun. I mean, just imagine that. And I want everybody to think about that, because when you hear it on the news, you might hear it and you think that's terrible. But you have to think about your own family members if that happened to someone you know or a person that you're connected to. I can say I understand, but you don't, right? You can say, I understand what they're going through. No, you don't. Trust me. You know, I've never lost a family member to gun violence. You know, when I have to go in and I, you know, have to tell a family member of a fallen officer that their family member is not coming home. I mean, that's a rough situation to be in. And you have to be blunt. You have to tell them, you know, that this is what it is. But you have to also show compassion when you do it. So the level of experience that I gained dealing with families who had dealt with that type of trauma has helped me in this job deliver those types of messages. I hate doing it.
Yeah, it's not easy.
I hate doing it, but those are the things that we have to understand.
What do you do when you have to do that? Unfortunately, it sounds like you've been doing it a few times. How do you handle that? You get home, you take that badge off, put your feet up. Like, we talk a lot about mental health here. Anyone who's been here, we talk about it, especially lately. And that's for victims, that's for families of victims, but it really is also especially for officers. I know the suicide rate is high. How do you handle your own mental health? That's not an easy. I mean, just hearing you talking about holding the baby, I can't imagine that. You're a leader. I think people look to you. Everyone handles it.
So we just wanted to listen in for a few minutes there. They've been going for a little while and will continue to. As you're listening to, again, Superintendent Snelling talk about the realities of policing, also dealing with mental health. And, you know, he said he doesn't want people, when you hear about stories on the news, to lose sight of the victims, as we are often in a rush to diagnose the suspects. Why did they do what they did? And how is it that they were able to do it? All of those things, to never lose sight of the victims in that. And the first responders who are going out to respond to those things. So again, they're going to continue on with this very important conversation there at the City Club of Chicago, but we want to continue on with our conversations here. We may dip back in at some point in time. We'll see. But let me tell you about a few other things that we're expecting in this hour. We know people are going to be hitting the pools, hitting the beaches for this long holiday weekend that's coming up. Keep in mind, drowning is the leading cause of death in U.S. children between the ages of 1 and 4 years old. We certainly don't want to be able to report on anything like that by next week, but as we want to keep kids safe, we're going to have an emergency medicine pediatrician here in the city of Chicago that's going to be going over how they prepare for the weekend, things that we all should know. We're also going to, this is a bit of a mouthful here, but we're going to talk about the first commercially ready microreactor that has reached a new milestone with the announcement that the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission has formally accepted the construction permit application for the deployment of a company's Kronos MMR. It's going to be at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. So that's a biggie for the school and for the state. We look forward to speaking with the founder and president of the Nano Nuclear Energy Company coming up a little later on in the hour. But first here, we have Mayor Craig Johnson from Elk Grove Village. They have a big town hall meeting coming up in just a few hours. So we certainly appreciate you making some time for us ahead of it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
So this really revolves around data centers that have become such a hot topic throughout the country, and especially here in the state of Illinois. Tell me about how the discussion has progressed to even get to this moment for Elk Grove Village.
Well, Elk Grove Village has had data centers in its village since 2000. So for 26 years, we've had data centers operating here in Elk Grove Village. So we're very used to it. Elk Grove is home to the nation's largest contiguous business park. So we're the biggest in North America. 5,600 businesses call Elk Grove home. So we're used to working with all types of businesses. So in 2000, when the first data center was built and started operation, it was new to us then. But today, now that we have 20 data centers and many more waiting potentially to come in, it's a business that we're comfortable with, we've worked with, and we find very beneficial to Elk Grove Village.
Tell me about how you find it beneficial. What comes from having the data centers there?
Well, first off, they meet the needs of the world. You wouldn't survive today without a data center. We wouldn't be using phones, laptops, computers, and especially since COVID, they've grown exponentially important to help deliver those services. Secondly, they're a type of business that's very innocuous in a town. They don't have a lot of impact on the community. Very safe facilities, so not much police enforcement. Very safe as far as fire. They got the most advanced fire suppression that exists, so not much issues there. And since there's not a lot of traffic tied to it, trucks or cars, they don't wear and tear a community. Yet, they pay very high property taxes, they pay utility taxes, they pay sales taxes, believe it or not, and they're very beneficial as far as giving to civic organizations within a community. So they do benefit us in a lot of ways. Minimal impact with maximum benefits.
When you say minimal impact, in many other areas throughout the state and country, there have been concerns about water usage or utility bills, things of that nature that I would imagine people would voice this evening. Have they voiced that to you in advance?
Well, they started to until we put out a newsletter explaining the data centers Elk Grove. And again, this is about Elk Grove Village. I can't explain what happened in Naperville, Lyle, Aurora. This is Elk Grove. But we are the data center hub in the Midwest, Elk Grove Village. And our data centers, anything built over the last 10 years, which the majority have been, use a closed loop cooling system. That means Once they have the water into their system, they don't use any more water for it. It just is it's like your radiator in your car. It just circulates around. So the average data center in Elk Grove today uses about 500,000 gallons of water a year. To give you an example, our laundromat in Elk Grove uses 2.5 million gallons of water a year. A car wash, 2.4 million gallons a year. Matter of fact, 7.5 single-family homes with 4 people living there, mom, dad, and 2 kids, 7.5 use the same amount of water that one data center uses here in Elk Grove. So the water issue, at least in Elk Grove Village, is a non-issue. As far as utility costs go, the state controls more of that than anyone else. They're stepping up now, the ICC and so on, making data centers pay more of their fair share for the cost to bring the lines to them, set up the infrastructure and operate. As far as what you pay in electric rates, well, we pay the same as any other town in Illinois. So we don't, we all pay the same rate for it. Our hope is there's some regulations coming along that will help minimize the impact. But overall, there's nothing special against Elk Grove because we have them here.
Well, let me ask you, when I look at, the fact that you all started introducing data centers to the area in 2000 and we're in 2026, so 26 years later, there are 20. That sounds like rapid growth. Do you see it that way? And if so, how have you handled bringing them all on board?
Well, remember this, we're the biggest business park in North America. We have, like I say, over 5,600 businesses here. We're used to businesses coming and going. They transition. At one time, we were known as Printers Row. We had more printers in Elk Grove Village than almost anywhere in the world. There's no printers anymore. We had different kind of manufacturing. Today we have high-tech manufacturing. So we adapt and adjust to the changing world of the business world. So we're used to it, work with it. And what's funny about this that we are still confused about, we've had data centers here for 26 years. Until 2 years ago, no one ever talked about them. Yet we had, over a dozen here, just 2-3 years. We had almost 15 here 2-3 years ago. No one ever said a word about them. And that's because no one was concerned about them. But for some reason now, everyone's talking that they're the evil empire, they're destroying the world. That's not happening. Data centers have been around for decades. Granted, they've in greater demand now than they were before, hence why you have to have more of them. But we know how to work with them. Our police, our fire, engineering department, we're all comfortable with them. We partner with them, and they're basically not a big deal in Elk Grove. They don't hurt anything. They don't affect anyone. And remember this, all of our data centers are in the industrial park area. They're in with manufacturers, tool and die makers, circuit board manufacturers. So they're in the midst of a business park. So there's so many other businesses there, they really don't stand out. We have large factories, we have large manufacturing buildings, just like we have now large data centers. Nothing much different. And until a couple of years ago, no one even knew they were there. They drive by them every day, never paid attention to them because they don't do anything. They're quiet. Ours are quiet with generators because they have such reliable electricity here in Elk Grove. They don't run hardly ever. And they just operate very nicely.
So I saw something the other day. This was maybe 2 weeks ago, that said new data centers are popping up across the country. We know that. Driving up utility bills in at least 13 states. According to a new analysis, Americans who live near the centers are paying as much as 267% more a month for energy than 5 years ago. What do you think is different in those areas than Elk Grove Village?
I have no idea. Our electric rates, I looked at my electric bill for the past 18 months. The change is maybe $13 a month. It hasn't doubled, hasn't tripled. Now, last summer, people say, oh, my electric rates are high. Well, the reason it was high was we had a record warm summer last year. People ran their air conditioners nonstop for almost the entire summer. So that drove up the cost. That's not my words. That's from Citizens Utility Board, CUG. They're the ones that stated that. So, again, we have not seen, have they gone up some? Yes. But they've gone up some from the East Coast through the West Coast, but they have not doubled and tripled in this area by any means. Mm-hmm. And remember, Illinois actually produces a surplus of electricity. We actually sell electricity to Indiana and Wisconsin. So we're ahead of the curve right now in Illinois as far as production and availability. Now, that's going to have to be modeled and watched, but as long as they stay on top of it, we should be fine. And I have full faith in the state to have oversight to make sure they keep controls when needed. But again, we've not seen, whether Elk Grove or Schaumburg or Hampshire, no one has seen the rates triple in the past year or two. No.
When you talk about having full faith in the state, what were your thoughts when Governor Pritzker did a moratorium for new data centers?
Well, obviously he's making sure everything's done right. But if you remember, it was Governor Pritzker that put in some incentives to attract data centers here. He understands, he's a businessman. He understands data centers have to be here. They have to be all over the world, or we're not going to have modern technology. No one's going to want to wait a half hour for Netflix to load their next movie to watch. That's what happens if you put all the data centers in South Dakota. No one's going to want to wait the half hour. But if they're here in Elk Grove or a neighboring town, you get them instantaneously, which is what people want to see. We want our phones to work quickly. We want our iPads to work. We want our laptops to work. We want the GPS system in our cars to work. That's only going to happen if you keep up technology-wise. And as long as we stay on the front edge of it and not fall behind, we'll be okay. But once you start falling behind, that not only affects residents, that affects businesses. Businesses pay the bills in America. They pay a disproportionate share, and they should. And they keep things moving. And we want to make sure they have all the most modern technology available to do what they have to do to be successful. And so that's why we got to make sure we stay on the top cutting edge. Obviously, countries like China are trying to catch up to us, and they don't like us being so far ahead of them. So who knows what they may try to do to usurp us. But I understand Governor Pritzker looking into it. But I think as he studies it, he sees the success we're having here in Elk Grove and the minimal impact it's having in Elk Grove. I think he'll find, hey, this is something we want to keep going and moving forward.
Mm-hmm. And be it that you're such a proponent of them and you do have such a positive outlook on what it's done for Elk Grove Village, I wonder, have other mayors reached out to you for advice? Have other councils reached out for counsel?
Dozens. You would not believe how many contact us from down southern Illinois, even out of state governments have been contacting us, talking to me. Mayors talk to mayors all the time. You wouldn't believe how many mayors talk to us. I wouldn't be surprised how many mayors come to the meeting tonight or watch it, because we're going to feed it live, watch the meeting tonight to see how we're handling it. Again, we would do nothing to ever hurt this community. I was born and raised here. I've been married 29 years here. And we would do nothing to hurt this community. And that's why we've worked with them for 26 years. We've watched them modify, we've watched them change, we've watched them develop as time went on. So we're very comfortable with that line of business. But remember this, Elk Grove has so many diverse businesses here, you wouldn't believe it. We have defense contractors that you don't want to know what they're doing. We used to joke that every chemical known to mankind exists in Elk Grove. So we've got the most advanced fire, police, public works, and engineering department. We can handle all of that. Our fire department is able to handle any kind of unique issues that come up. Our police handle all the security. We know what we're doing when it comes to business. That's why we're so successful. We've got 66 million square feet under roof in our business park. That's astronomical. And we have them well. And we have less than 2% vacancy rate, which means we're filled. People can't wait to come to Elk Grove, whether you're a data center or a high-tech manufacturer. Elk Grove is the place to be, and we welcome you, we work with you, we help you be successful, and that's what counts.
Okay, so what tweaks would you make if these areas, other areas are maybe getting things wrong or things get twisted? What tweaks would you make to the introduction of data centers other places, or the regulation of them other places?
Well, I think the main thing is this. You have to look out for the impact of any large building has in an area. Since we're used to it in Elk Grove, when, like I say, for 26 years, people drove by a dozen of them, never knew they were there. That's because we got so many big buildings in our industrial park. So we're used to it. So you have to be careful One, how you introduce them to a community. Two, make sure you have the staff that can handle and work with them in a community. And three, you got to make sure they deliver what they promised to deliver. So far, they've all done that with us. We've had no issues all these years. No catastrophe has occurred. No problems have occurred. They've been great neighbors. And again, like I say, no one knew about them because there's never been an issue with them. So I think towns just need to be comfortable with them, understand it's a new world. Data centers were not a big deal 50, 60 years ago. Today, they're a big deal and they're needed. So you got to reach out to mayors that are comfortable with them, like myself. I'm glad to walk them through what we've done. Make sure you cite them right. Make sure you work with them correctly. You have the infrastructure to support them. And we're fortunate. Everything they need, whether it's power or fiber optics or location, we have. So that's why they love coming to Elk Grove, because they know what they need to operate is already here. They're not digging up new power lines, not digging up new fiber optics. It's already there for them, which helps. So the big thing is take your time, work with them, welcome them, and explain to people. There's a lot of misinformation out there. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, they used a lot of water. Today, they don't. They've evolved and changed. Carbon neutral is the mantra for the biggest data center operator here in Elk Grove. By 2030, they want to be carbon neutral. That's huge for the environment. That's faster than the state's going to be carbon neutral. They want to be. So they're embracing the green energy. They're embracing the green technology. And more importantly, they're looking to minimize the impact, whether it's water, electricity, or any other thing with location. They're trying to minimize that impact.
Mayor Johnson, we appreciate your experienced perspective on this. Thank you so much for your time today.
No problem. We thank you. And again, Elk Grove is always open for business.
And please come back on the show, because something tells me this is not the end of this discussion.
Glad to do so. Thank you for having me.
We appreciate it. All right, it's 1:22. I believe Superintendent Snelling is wrapping up there at the City Club of Chicago. Again, our cameras are right there for the full speech that he had, answering some many questions there for about an hour. And so we'll have much more information as the afternoon proceeds into what all are the things that he talked about there and the things that maybe people were looking for him to say that he did or did not address. So we'll get into those in our later hours. I want to get to our next conversation in just a moment. We've got to find out more about this new moment, this new milestone for nuclear energy in the state of Illinois. That's coming up after this break. right, everyone, 125 right now. And if you're like me, you like to learn something new every day. I think that we will in this next conversation. We have J.U., the founder and president of Nano Nuclear Energy, who's with me now to talk about a big milestone when it comes to nuclear energy. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me on today.
Tell me exactly what this is. And if we're new to all of this and you're just thinking, nuclear energy in Illinois? How? Why? All of those things. Tell us more.
Yeah, so we took this journey with our partner, the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, and we partnered with the university to build on their campus our Kronos MMR, which stands for Micro Modular Reactor. So Nano Nuclear is building our advanced microreactor in the middle of the campus. So we're looking at, and let's think about the safety profile too. Potentially dorm rooms will be nearby as well, right? So this is how safe it is, because many people think of large civil nuclear reactors, but Nano Nuclear is developing the next generation of reactors that are safe, and nuclear is already safe, so even safer, where our fuel would never melt down because we're using the next generation of fuel.
I mean, it really is mind-boggling, quite honestly, to think of this being done in the middle of a campus. And right before you said, let's talk about safety, I literally was writing, we've got to talk about safety.
Yes. Yeah,
Here,
I know.
It's been a lot.
Yeah, no, it's been incredible. Today's news is a milestone for us because at the end of Q1 this year, we submitted a construction permit application with the Nuclear Regulatory Commission in the U.S. and our partner, the University of Illinois, submitted that CPA, and with that CPA now, the NRC has approved or accepted our application. So what that means is now we're in formal licensing with the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. That means, within 12 months or more, we'll be potentially pouring concrete and erecting steel at the middle of the campus of the University of Illinois.
And how did the University of Illinois get in this? Like, how did they become the school at the center of this?
Yeah, so we basically we acquired this technology, Nano Nuclear did, and with that came this site that was built already with the University of Illinois. So we kind of inherited this this kind of project, and we did our due diligence, and now that we have the actual capital to make this all happen and come true. So the history of this is Illinois, rooted in nuclear energy. I mean, Illinois has been proactive in that and a big producer of nuclear energy in the U.S. So it's full circle for the state right now.
Okay, so how would a commercially ready microreactor be used in the future?
Yeah, so we're building a full-scale Kronos MMR, which is a microreactor, which is categorized as 20 megawatts or less. Our reactor is 15 megawatt electric and 45 megawatt thermal. So what's going to happen here is once we have our site in the middle of the campus, so what we're going to do is continue the licensing process with the NRC. And then once we get that approval, we'll be able to start construction there. And then while doing that, we've built a facility in Oak Brook, Illinois. So we're going to use that facility to assemble our Kronos, certain parts to it. And then in the future, assemble the full prototype in the middle of the campus. And then hopefully by early 2030, we'll have a full-scale model on their campus. And this will be used also for research, for helping the nuclear engineering students at the University of Illinois with learning. And this is real-world learning. This is not just going to some site. This is in the middle of their campus.
I mean, the learning opportunities are huge for students. But like from a practical standpoint, like what is a microreactor used for? What would this be used for?
Yeah, so think of island communities, right? Many island communities truck in diesel, right? So, and diesel, as you know, it's carbon emitting. With nuclear, it's virtually no carbon, right? So you have that. You have military aspects too. Like for example, nanonuclear, we have a direct to phase 2 award with the closest joint military base to Washington, D.C. So we're doing a feasibility study there to see how our microreactor could, same thing like in the middle of campus of University of Illinois, could provide off-grid power, right? So those different situations, obviously a big talking point now is the AI data centers. So our Kronos MMR reactor could co-locate with AI data centers as well, because that is a huge point right now, even on your show, that all these large data centers are being put up, and where's the energy coming from? And they're draining it from the grid. So you need nanonuclear's Kronos MMR to come in the future and potentially take that burden off.
It would take the burden off of the everyday citizen living in the area?
Oh yeah, I mean, if private company comes in, like some of these large tech companies that, remember, there's a mandate that they have to buy their own power and bring their own power. So if they somehow co-locate with our reactors, then that will take a lot of that burden off the grid.
What does this say about like where we are in the world, in society, that we're having these kinds of conversations, or that you all are reaching these types of milestones?
I mean, you know, let's think of the overall universe. You have spaceships going into orbit. You have Mars being colonized soon. You have even data centers being built in space, right? So that we used to dream of this or see this in movies, but all of this is coming to reality now, and it's because of technology, the advancement of AI, and now the next generation of energy, which is nuclear, that it can be smaller, it can be even safer, and the new technologies around new nuclear allow us to do that, like what we're doing at nanonuclear.
Would this, you mentioned the military tie there. I mean, obviously we talk so much about in the war in Iran, the conflict with Iran, that Iran cannot have nuclear capabilities. How would this change conflicts of the future? If you get to full scale, like how would this change conflicts of the future?
Yeah, so great question there. If you start looking at, let's just say, geopolitical issues in the world and wars, let's just look at Russia and Ukraine, right? One of the things Russia did was they started hitting all their power plants in Ukraine, right? So the winters will come and they're lacking the energy for heat and to staying warm. Now, if you have a microreactor like ours where it's buried, then it could be hidden. It could provide that base load energy for thousands of citizens and people. So that's a game changer in itself. And then let's look at, you're talking about Iran. Same thing. You know, the focus is on oil. Nothing's flowing in the strait right now. So if you're looking at nuclear and we're able to scale this and deploy this on a global level, then it's a game changer there. Then you're not dependent on oil, which is, once again, carbon emitting, right? And nuclear is virtually carbon free.
Wow. Thank you so much for your time today. Again, I think we all learned a little something. There's probably very few people like yourself who are, so in the know with all of this. So thank you for your time and educating all of us.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Take care. It's just about 1:35, everyone. Give us 2 minutes and then we're getting into a really important conversation about drowning prevention as we get ready for a long holiday weekend. We want everyone to come on the opposite side of it all right. All right, welcome back, everyone. It is 1:37 right now, and it's pretty hard to imagine that in 2026, this is still a statistic that drowning is the leading cause of death for children in the U.S. between the ages of 1 and 4, but it is unintentional pediatric drowning. It's horrible. We have Dr. Allison Tothy, who is here with us, an emergency medicine pediatrician in Chicago and an AAP spokesperson. We so appreciate you being here, especially ahead of a long weekend where a lot of people will be getting in water.
We hope the weather's nice enough, and it's hard to tell in Chicago, but
That's
probably
true.
at least other places.
That's true. That's true. Today people are back in jackets, but in the water, it is probably cold. That said,
Well, the beaches are opening up. Yep.
yeah, that said, we do know that people will be on the water, in the water, when it comes around to Memorial Day weekend, whether it's here or maybe they go somewhere with their families. I said it's pretty hard to wrap my brain around the fact that this statistic is still a thing. Is it shocking to you?
Yeah, it's there's so many ways to prevent drowning. It is absolutely preventable, whether it's in the home or at a pool or in a beach. And so therefore, yeah, it's really hard to imagine, but it happens.
For a while, it looks like from 1999 to 2019, so it's, a good chunk of time, the rates were declining. What happened after this is COVID now and beyond? What's going on?
So the rates are pretty stable at this point, and not really changing. But there's a lot of talk about just general, across the board, multiple layers of prevention that hopefully will jumpstart a decrease in the drownings.
Well, I don't want to blame any parent, any adult. Kids can move quickly. You can take your eye off them for a split second and something go horribly wrong. But what are some things that maybe we can all do a little bit better or differently moving forward?
So the biggest is paying attention. Watching your children. Toddlers particularly are so curious and they are so quick. And so making sure that you are watching your children, that if they are in the water, that you are within hand's length. We talk about touch supervision for that age group, and then paying very close attention when they are school age, perhaps sitting at the edge of the pool, watching them. If you're at a party or you're at the beach with a lot of people, designating one person to pay attention to the children, who knows that they're paying attention to the children, never assuming that someone else is watching your kids unless you have a direct conversation about it, to make sure that they're safe.
Race, comorbidities, tell me how they factor into what you all see.
So certainly it depends. There are lots of communities who maybe haven't taught their children how to swim, or who have parents who don't know how to swim, or guardians who don't know how to swim, and therefore either haven't taught their children or aren't able to rescue their child. So we encourage anyone over a year of age to enroll their kids in some sort of swim lesson. Usually by about a year of age, they are capable of starting some plain basic swimming courses. Below a year of age, they aren't developmentally ready.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then again, as we go into this weekend, what are some other things that you think need to be top of mind for everyone as we're out and about?
If you're on a boat or in a waterway, make sure that you're all wearing life vests, that you know what the water looks like, that where the rocks and all the hazards are, know what the rules are, stay sober. That includes not just alcohol, but cannabinoids and any other kind of any other kind of substance that might cloud your thinking, so that you can pay attention to your surroundings and pay attention to your children.
Okay, and just on a final note here, are there any misnomers or misinformation about, swimming, drowning, whatever the case may be, that you want to clear up while we have the floor?
Yeah, I think the biggest one is that you cannot assume that your kids know how to swim at a young age. You have to be around them. Even if you have put them in swimming lessons, you have to add those layers. So that means that you have to watch your children. You have to make sure that the pools are locked, that if they're inside, they can't get out. There are safety measures so that kids can't get in the pool when no one else is in the pool. Or if you're at the beach, that there is someone with them. You just can't assume that kids know that because they've taken a swim lesson, that they know how to swim and they're going to be safe.
Really good point. Thank you so much, Doctor. We appreciate your time and your expertise.
Thank you so much.
And we certainly hope that was a life-saving conversation. We're going to put it online so you'll be able to go back and listen to it, or maybe send it to somebody who needs it. As we were speaking, Superintendent Snelling began taking some more questions. Let's listen into what he has to say here.
Recognize areas where there's an uptick in shootings and make sure that we have resources in place to respond as quickly as possible and to respond to calls when necessary.
One more question.
I'm sorry.
1114 is leading the city for the second year in a row in shootings per 10,000 people. What's needed from where you sit on that beat specifically to turn that around?
What's needed is everybody, not just the police. We need everybody involved. When we get there, obviously we're doing everything that we can to keep crime down. We are policing constitutionally, but at the same time, we can't necessarily police people's homes, things of that nature. We need everybody. We need all entities involved. I do not believe that we as a police department should be or could resolve every situation alone. We need everyone involved.
You said in there that when it comes to team takeovers, it's time to stop making excuses for teams. Who's making excuses?
Well, listen, when we start to talk about inner city youth as a whole, it's not just about the teen takeovers. It's that when we believe that these young people don't know any better, we're insulted. It's an insult. It's an insult to inner city youth who are not engaging in this type of activity. We have kids from the inner city who are doing great things. They're not committing any crimes. They're not harming people, and they're not harming each other. So when I say making excuses, what I'm talking about is removing accountability on the part of these young people, removing accountability for parents to make sure that they know where their children are after curfew hours, to make sure that their kids are not in harm's way where they can end up hurt or even worse, being shot or killed. And we've seen this. So it's important that there is a level of accountability and some structure around how we deal with young people who make a conscious choice to go out and engage in violent behavior, violent acts against others. It can't be tolerated. These are things that we have to stop, we have to put an end to, because it creates a level of trauma for other people. I know we usually talk about trauma to teens and young people, but what about the trauma that they're causing for other people? So we have to make sure that there is a level of accountability for those who are going out with the purpose of creating chaos and havoc in this city, and it has to stop.
Is the mayor making excuses?
I'm not going into the political aspect of this. I'm telling you from my perspective and my point of view. This is the superintendent of the Chicago Police Department speaking. And having been an inner city kid myself, I know when someone makes a conscious decision to engage in behavior that's of a criminal nature. There's a difference. If I have a kid who steals because he's hungry, then that's a kid that we should be feeding, not locking up. But when I have a kid who decides that with a $700 gun that he's going to point it in the face of an elderly woman and force her to an ATM and draw out her savings, that's a choice that you made to commit a heinous crime, and you have to be held accountable for it. So those types of crime create trauma in other people. We have to start thinking about victims. We have to focus on the trauma that it causes other people in this city, and we have to put an end to it, and we have to hold those accountable who are creating those acts.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Again there, Superintendent Larry Snelling of the Chicago Police Department, finishing up his speech at the City Club of Chicago today, and now just taking some questions, or was just taking some questions from reporters who were in the room. And he talked about resources. A lot of this had to do with preparing for this long weekend. We were just talking about preparing for the long weekend from the standpoint of a pediatrician. Now we're hearing from the superintendent. As you prepare for the long weekend from these various aspects, he talked about resources, being ready to respond. From an unfortunate note, but a real note, we do typically see an uptick in violence during the Memorial Day weekend. This is typically a weekend where we're coming on the opposite side of it and giving statistics that are very troubling. And so how do we reverse that? How do we not get in that situation again? He talked about the fact that what's needed is everybody being invested in seeing it turn around, that they are doing everything they can to keep crime down, but they can't resolve every situation alone, that everybody plays a part. He was asked specifically about the teen takeovers that have been happening. We just saw another one last weekend at, I think it was Oak Street Beach. So he said there's no excuses for teens, that it's an insult to their intelligence, quite honestly, to say that inner city youth can't make better decisions, that they don't know better than what they're doing. And he talked about the fact that we have to hold them accountable, that they have to be accountable, parents have to be accountable for knowing where your children are, especially after curfew, that there are conscious decisions, conscious choices that are made to engage in violent behavior that creates a level of trauma for everyone. And that goes back to something that he said during his speech there at the City Club of Chicago about focusing victims and not just perpetrators of crime, whatever age they may be, focusing on victims as well. Although there are, obviously nuances when it comes to teens, that ultimately you leave a community traumatized. So, again, that was the few moments after the major speech where he was just taking questions from reporters there. We're going to take a 2-minute break, and then we're going to get into our next discussion about Google research and how it's changing in 2026. Okay, welcome back. It's 1:52 right now. Technology is changing by the day, especially now that we have AI and the advancements. I mean, it's kind of hard to keep track of. We have Jennifer Jones with the Google search expert from San Francisco, who's joining me now to talk more about how even our Google searches are changing moving forward. Thank you so much for your time.
Hey, you're welcome. Glad to be here today.
So, I mean, this is dating myself, but when you think about the fact that we've gone in just this generation, my generation, gone from like dial-up internet to all of the ways that we use the internet now and all of the ways that we can get information now, it's pretty wild to think that AI can maybe even change how we're researching things on Google, because Google has come in our lifetime. Explain this for us, where we are with this now.
Sure. I think the progress in technology over the last century, of course, is remarkable. And we have more opportunity than ever to create new things. And that's a part of where Google comes in. I mean, we've been around for many years, and the advent of the internet through what we have right now, which are AI powered tools that have really cool features to help you simplify your routines and your tasks and unleash your creativity. So at I/O yesterday and for the next 2 days, we launched a lot of awesome new products that can do just that. And I'd love to share some of those with you.
Please do. We're going to, a lot of people have more time on their hands this weekend. And of course, the summer's coming up. So introduce us to what you all have on board.
Sure. Gemini is a perfect place to start. So Gemini is a universal system that people turn to for help with their everyday life all the time. And most of what we announced yesterday were in the Gemini family. Of course, they all use AI. A lot of people might be a little nervous about AI, but the barrier to entry is not as hard as you think it may be. You may already be using it and not fully understand that you are. Of course, with all of our products, we opt in to usage of them. So you don't, share any information with Google unless it is with your consent. One of those is called the Daily Brief, and this is the one that I am probably most excited about.
Yeah.
So this is sort of a cheat sheet for your morning. You lay in bed and you're doom scrolling through all of the things you have to do that morning. But the Daily Brief is an AI agent that gives you a digest personalized to you on what you have to do that day, next steps and action plans that you need to get it done. So basically, it connects all your apps and it works in the background from your Gmail inbox, your calendar, and it tells you exactly what's going on for you that day.
Wow.
And makes recommendations.
So it's essentially our assistant.
It is. It's an AI agent that acts exactly like an assistant. There's several others that have come out like that in the last 24 hours. Gemini Spark is also a 24/7 personal AI agent that does all the work for you in the background under your direction. And you can teach it skills, actually. And the first thing that I'm going to set up for the skills for my family is going through my emails and pulling through all of the emails that I get from my kids' daycare. And it gives you all the deadlines. It gives you all the dress-up weeks that you get emails about. It gets you all the teacher appreciation donations and yearbook deadlines. And it puts it in a list for you, so you don't have to go and find those yourself. And you don't have to go hunt and see if there's something new out there.
Cheat code unlocked.
Yes, total cheat code.
What else is coming up?
Oh, so many things. We are releasing Android glasses, which is, kind of incredible. It's think about something that has really advanced. Is now the ability to have, Android XR eyewear that's smart and intelligent and helps you view the world in a better way. The first round of these are going to be audio glasses, and they give you speaking help right in your ear, right when you need it, and you can stay hands-free and heads up and just communicate with Gemini through your glasses. We've partnered with several incredible household names like Warby Parker to give you, beautiful lenses that you actually would want to wear. And you'll be able to have some choices. That'll roll out this fall. Another thing for busy moms and dads and all people is Universal Cart, which is basically a shopping spree with superpowers. And it's going to definitely transform the way that you shop. Sort of similar to what I said about Gemini Spark, this works in the background and it works across all kinds of merchants and services. So you add something to your cart and it automatically goes to work to find if there's a better deal. It notifies you if there's a price drop. It gives you insights to price history. So you're not just guessing about what you're purchasing or if there's a better deal out there. It goes and it finds it for you and then it alerts you. And then you make the choice, hey, I'm going to go ahead and buy it at this price, or I'm going to, have the assistant continue to work for me and find a better deal. And you make the choice on whether you purchase it or not, but it gives you all the information you need to make that most informed choice.
Oh my goodness. The only thing
I know it's a little dangerous.
It is very that you knew where I was going with this, because sometimes if something is not there, when I circle back around, like I'll put something in a cart and I'll go, do all these other things. When I circle back, if it's not available by then I'm like, the Lord did not want me to have it. But
it was not willed to be.
It was not in his will. But this might be circumventing that mentality.
But if you find that better price and your assistant has given that to you, that could also be a sign.
Yeah, a sign that my wallet is about to be missing some dollars for quite a while. Okay, what about Google Flights?
Oh, Google Flights has been around forever and nothing terribly new to share there, but certainly when you're going into summer travel, check out Google Flights. Especially if you have flexibility, you can use the product to find the best deal across several days or, a flexible time period. I love Google Flights. I don't dare book it without anything without them. And now we also have Google Hotels. So previously you'd been able to look at like a town and see if the town or the city has hotel deals. Now you can set them for a specific hotel that you have in mind, and it will send you that alert when the price drops, and you can snap it up from there.
Love it. Okay, what do you think of the trends, of the products, the features that rolling out? What do you think is going to be like the crowning jewel that everyone's like, thank you for?
I think it depends on who you are. Now, if you're a mom or anyone who is in charge of a domestic household, I think all of these things that help simplify your daily life and tell you where you need to be and where you've got to go. They also send you an email to your partner, so it works for any parent really. I think that's going to be the big game changer. So the Daily Brief, Gemini Spark. I do think the universal cart is going to be a big deal, but overall, just finding AI agentic agents is something that is definitely going to be able to improve your life significantly and truly just be operating on your behalf under your direction in the background of your life while you enjoy it and you let them do the work.
We've come so far, and yet you all keep thinking of new things. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
You're so welcome. Thanks for having Google. If you want to know more, go to blog.google.com and it can help you get started on any of these products and more we mentioned today.
Okay. All right. You take care.
Thank you.
Everybody, it's 2:00. Give us 2 minutes and we'll be back. I'll set you up for where we're going in the next hour. Hey, welcome back, everyone. It's just about 2:03. Let me let you know about some of the things we have lined up for this hour of Chicago Live today. Goodness, U Chicago and several other universities apparently are partnering together on a program that needs one thing from all of us. They're actually looking for 1 million people or more to help them with this project, and we're going to talk about all of us. That is the name of the program. We'll talk about details of the program and how we could all help in what they are doing and what it would actually do for mankind moving forward. That's coming up a little bit later on. We're also going to check in with our sister station in Detroit. They have a doozy of a story on their hands today. We're going to let the reporter there get into that around 2:45 today. Let's just say this is like landlord issues on steroids. Okay, this is, if you think about having, landlords can have all different types of things that happen. This is up there. So we're going to talk to her around 2:45 and get the details of that. We're going to talk about Open Air Chicago as well. Looking to find out more information about this from the Chicago Department of Public Health. I'm so sorry if I keep looking off. Someone on a bike just had an accident outside. I hope they're okay. Kind of limping, but it looks like some people are coming to help. It's in the opposite direction there. So yeah, it looks like a couple of bystanders have come over to help. Look at Chicago being that this is what you like to see. I'm like, I hope somebody helps and I don't need to cut to a break and go out there and try to help, but they're right in the middle of the road. So there are people helping them get back up. So good to see that on a Wednesday or any other day. So let me try to refocus myself now. And let's talk about Open Air Chicago. That's where we were here. Okay, so it's a citywide project that consists of 277 air sensors collecting data on fine particulate matter. And we have Grace Adams from the Chicago Department of Public Health, who is joining us now. Grace, thank you so much, and I apologize. It took me a moment there. I kind of got sidetracked, but thank you for being here.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
Mm-hmm. Tell us more about this project and how long it's been around, what it entails.
Yeah, so a couple of years ago, the Chicago Department of Public Health and the University of Illinois at Chicago School of Public Health both separately ended up purchasing some Clarity air sensors. And so, as you mentioned, those measure fine particulate matter and nitrogen dioxide concentrations. And so, we decided to partner and bring this, citywide. So we were able to, put all of these sensors around the city. So we're going to be able to get that hyper local, understanding of the pollutant concentrations in all areas of Chicago. And then we're going to be able to, figure out how Chicagoans can best protect themselves. And so that's really our goal here, is really around that piece. So we were able to install the sensors last summer on City of Chicago light poles. So there's at least one in every community area and at least one in every ward. And as part of that effort, we worked really closely with a bunch of different partners. And now the sensors are up. They've been operational now for, several months, and we started collecting the data. We started releasing the data earlier in 2026. And so now folks have the ability to check on their air quality, especially as we approach wildfire season.
Yeah, and oh my goodness, we've been watching, the fires out in California this week. Oh, it's painful to watch, especially when you come back like day after day and there's just no containment. So tell me about some of the things, the data that you all have collected thus far. What are the things that are positive to you all thus far and the things that are concerning?
Yeah, so one thing that's positive is, we're able to really look at this at a sensor by sensor level. And so all of these sensors are within a mile of each other. And so with that, we're really getting that granularity, and we're going to be able to long-term look at more trends. We just do not have enough data to really identify those trends yet. However, what we are seeing in the short term, analyses that we've done is really that, we are seeing that most areas of Chicago are, actually doing relatively well in terms of their air quality. And so, right now what we're seeing is really, a lot of that like green or yellow, which, is that like good or moderate, levels of like the air quality index. And so, as you look at that, you're able to identify what health recommendations you may need. And so, the good news is that, by and large, we haven't seen, heavy spikes. We haven't seen, a lot of, issues in which people will need to take extra precautions. But, we are wanting people to be prepared in the event that that happens.
And how did you all go about choosing the locations for the sensors?
So our friends at UIC and University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign sort of did a grid design based off of the collective number of sensors that we purchased. So that way we could identify, how close together the locations could be based off of the US EPA ambient air design criteria. And so we looked at that. And then we looked at the Chicago EJ index. So that way we could really take into account that certain areas of the city are overburdened. And we wanted to ensure that there was, closer coverage so we could really identify any issues or patterns in those specific areas. And then we went out to our community partners in the advisory board and, we asked for their specific input around what, light poles they would be, really interested in having areas like monitored. So, if they're closer to a school or if they want to go where actually the trucks are idling and they want to see how that compares. So we really tried to, get their input into what they would find most beneficial as they're using this data.
Yeah. What are the issues that you think people maybe misunderstand about long-term effects of air pollution at this point in life in 2026?
So long-term, confusion, I think it's really more just what might lead to it. And like, I guess what, levels are considered bad, like obviously the goal is to have everyone be able to take their we want everyone's health to be protected. And so it's really a lot of, education around how people, can understand what's going on around them and what actions they can take. And it's also like us figuring out like the best ways to help protect people. And so this network is, a public health surveillance tool. So, we're using that in a way to really look at what, Chicagoans are breathing. So that way we can combat any of these potential, concerns that people might have, confusion around what they should be doing, what they can be doing, and we can go from there.
And when you talk about protecting people's health, protecting it from what types of things?
So this is specifically, so the fine particulate matter is like soot. And so, you're seeing that in, when you see diesel emissions and that kind of thing. So that's why I mentioned the trucks idling. There's buses that Chicago has, a lot of traffic notoriously. So kind of looking at that piece. There's also the nitrogen dioxide, which plays into, like ozone, and that'll be really important come the summer months, and as I mentioned, the wildfire season. So kind of making sure that those two pollutants are really the focus right now. We're going to be able to look at how things are going overall, and then we can try to make some changes. We'll see what the data shows us, and we'll go from there.
Particulate like that, are those things tied to, I would immediately think of like issues with asthma, but even as far as cancer?
Yeah, so certain types of cancer, asthma, different option, a lot of different health concerns, older people, children, a lot of different considerations here. And so, that's why we have this information available so folks know if they are among, those groups that need some additional health guidance.
Yeah. And do you see this project being tied into the like alert system at some point in time? You were mentioning the wildfire season, and we do start to get alerts of like if you're in particular categories that may be challenged, or what hours you should remain indoors, or things of that nature. Do you see this project kind of tying into those types of alerts at some point?
That's the goal. So, actually, right now, what we're really trying to emphasize in that preparation is that folks can sign up to receive emails directly from our platform when the air quality around them, like the sensor they sign up for, hits an unhealthy threshold. And so, that's going to be really important. So, right now, these alerts are separate, but they're just as, I think critical to making sure that Chicagoans know what exactly, they're breathing and what precautions they may need to take going outside. So all of this, the sign up, everything, it's all available on our website, chicago.gov/open-air-chicago.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, Grace. We really appreciate it. And please keep us updated on you all's project when you get more results and when more people are weighing in.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you so much for having me.
Take care. It's 2:14. Let's take a 2-minute break, everyone, and then we're going to move into the next part of our show here. We're waiting on a couple of live events to start up. If one has not started by the time, it looks like they are setting up here. And let me tell you, I'll go ahead and give you the background on what we're waiting on here. So this is about to be a press conference with some insights, recent developments related to a city contract for the transport of deceased persons across Chicago. I know that's very deep, very maybe gory to some people, but let's just take this from a very real perspective. If something should ever happen to you or a loved one, you would want to make sure that a body would be transported with care and consideration and expediency, quite honestly. And some say that is not happening in the city of Chicago right now. There is legal action now that's been filed over a contract when it comes to body removal in the city, alleging a violation of a bid process statute and illegal termination. So as soon as they're ready to start up that press conference, again, that affects so many people in the city, so many families that have felt their loved ones have not been taken care of as they should have. We will go to this live just as soon as it begins. So let's go ahead, take a 2-minute break here, and then we'll be right back to proceed on. All right, everyone. That press conference that I was just mentioning before we went to break has just begun, so let's listen in.
And the bidding for the transportation of bodies for the city of Chicago, as well as a breach of contract. Our allegations detail how Allied Services Group was, an effective contractor with the city for 14 years, providing great service, timely service, and that the city decided to bid for a new contract and accepted a bidder that we've alleged is based on the bid documents itself, just not the lowest responsible bidder as required by Illinois law. And to make matters worse, the city then also terminated improperly the contract with Allied Services Group to go with that bidder, despite, again, Allied Services being run and owned by a longtime Chicago resident, Mr. Stamps, who I'll turn it over to you all right now to discuss his experience working with the city and the services he's provided.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for coming out. Good evening. My name is John Stamps. I'm the owner of Allied Services Group. We had the contract for 14 years. I have 20 years experience in the body removal transportation industry, and also I got 30 years in the trucking industry. So I know how to move quite well. Unfortunately, they terminated our contract without us, with a phone call. And we kind of that wasn't fair when we had extra time left over within the contract. So today I'm just trying to rectify it, but kind of get the contract back. And so we're here today to address any question you guys have to have for us.
John, maybe you could tell a little bit about the quality of work that you provided to the city.
Oh yes, we was able to do the in a timely matter, 75 minutes. Sometimes we did it in 20 minutes. And also too, we specialize in it. So we have any kind of situation that a normal funeral home won't be able to do. We know how to do it, and that's why we feel we are capable of doing the body deserve. Capable of doing the work, and we I don't want to say too much about it, but I want to say that we specialize in the body removal industry. Any questions?
Can you walk me through last year when you found out the city was cutting your contract? How did you find out? Where were you at? What was your emotions? Walk me through last year.
Actually, I was at the office and I got a phone call, and someone told me that July the 1st, we no longer leave the service. I'm like, this not, I got an extra 6 more weeks left. They said, well, we can terminate at any time. No notice, no nothing. And so then I was kind of talk to people and kind of see what's going on. So I reached out to some people I know and kind of see how can they do that.
What was the reason the city gave you for cutting the contract? Was there any reason at all?
No reason. We were 98% on time, and we never had a complaint in 14 years.
And to find out the current now contractors working with the city right now, what is your stance with this funeral home? I mean, have you heard that these bodies are being out there for hours, longer than what you've had on your call?
I have calls on that, but I don't know Wallace Funeral Home. I don't know the owners of it, so I don't want to say anything about them. And whatever they say, whatever's out there is out there.
What are your hopes coming out of today's press conference? What do you want the city to do after you worked with them for nearly 14 years?
I'd like to get the contract back. I got beautiful workers. They're ready to come back to work, and that's what I'd like to happen.
Why is it so important you all continue to work right here in Chicago that you guys have been doing for 14 years?
I'm from Chicago. I love Chicago, and I want to, we're dealing with people, loved ones. So we want to make sure we give them a great experience and with their time of need. That's bad. Your family member died, you want a good service.
You're here with your current and former employees right now.
Yes.
Talk about the strain that has been on them over the past couple of weeks and months.
They want to come back and everything. They love their job. To do what we do, not too many people can do it. And so it's like a family. So my thing with them now is to get it back so we can come back as a family.
Was it a shock to you?
Very much. I'm still in shock.
Why is that?
Because I feel I should be still doing it, and we deserve to do it. We did a whole lot of great things for the city of Chicago.
What's next for you guys? What's next?
hopefully we get the contract back. That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Get the contract back.
And what building are we sitting in front of right now?
This is my office building, where the office at, and this is the back part of it.
Okay. So this is where you guys did work out of?
Yes, this is where we work out of. Yes. Any questions?
Andrew, do you want to say anything?
Sure. Yeah, what we're doing is hopefully that they can restore them so they can get back to work, because it's been a big delay. But it takes 75 minutes to get there. They have proven that. But if you see on the CTA trains, once they call for the body removals, the train is still delayed. So that's holding up people that's trying to get to where they got to go. But on top of that, you have a big delay with this company now that's not there on time. And when you talk about the crime in the city of Chicago, when the Chicago Police Department called for a body removal, why should they have to babysit after 75 minutes? Don't disrespect the family that's out there, and don't disrespect the deceased that's there. They're professional in what they're doing. They get there promptly on time, and they do the removal. So this causes a delay with the officers who have to sit there. They have to sit there after 75 minutes. They have to call in and say, hey, what's the ETA? You know, tell them, pull the records now and see the difference between their records and Allied's records, and you'll see it's a big difference, because you got a lot of officers that are totally upset because they have to sit there when they're supposed to be going home, or they could be somewhere else attending to other business in the city of Chicago, in the state of Illinois, but they have to sit there because someone sat there and wanted to terminate the contract. You do not terminate a contract, especially when you got people working and being on time. Where's the complaints at? Do you have a stack of complaints against them? No, you do not. Check the complaints against the other people. Don't just go to a person that's low bidding. Look at their history and compare it to the history here.
Can I get the lawyers one more time? Walk me through this legal process as we talk about the bid process, right? What is the next step legally? Where are we at right now today, and how do we move forward?
So we've filed the complaint recently. We're waiting. We've served the city, and we're waiting for a response from them. We will engage, of course, with their counsel in pursuing the case. But as far as our client's behalf, we're going to proceed aggressively, as we always do, to push a case, get the discovery we need to prove our case, and to establish here that Allied Services was the lowest responsible bidder. And that's, I think, as we've said, proven by their track record and proven by the bids themselves.
In the current bid that we have, or the current contract that the city has right now, you're alleging that they didn't have the proper paperwork, they didn't have the proper bid. What is that?
Yeah, so we're alleging that in the bids, which are attached to the complaint, that the city had a lot of requirements for the bidders. Allied Services set forth all of those requirements, including, I think most notably, its list of employees, demonstrating an ability to be able to serve a city the size of Chicago. And that's one notable omission from the other bid, as we've alleged, that would demonstrate it's not the lowest responsible bidder, in that it doesn't allege or assert really any number of employees beyond its owner, and we're not sure they have any others. But the allegations there are just that those omissions should have been glaring to the city.
So you're alleging that this current bid or the current contract only has one employee?
That's all that the current contractor listed on their bid.
Is that unusual?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I think if they want to know how a company is going to serve the city, they should follow the bidding requirements put out by the city, and what's on that bid did not.
Meanwhile, Allied has multiple employees.
That's correct. And they listed, I think, about 20 of them on theirs, and the city, of course, should know that, too, from their years of service.
Is there anything else anyone wants to say, add, or mention? Maybe the employee quickly. We'll keep it high level here. Sure. For you and your family, are you out of work right now? What's next for you?
Yes, sir. I'm out of work. I've been out of work for the past going on a year, dealing with this whole thing. You know, I love doing the job. I've been an employee here for 3.5 years, 4 years. And when we found out the news that we was losing the contract to somebody who is less capable of us, that made it really tough on us. Extremely tough. It's been a real tough struggle with this whole thing. You know.
What are you hoping comes out of this loss? Obviously, you want to get back to work.
Yes, sir.
This is the place you came to. You helped
Yes,
people
sir.
who are grieving. It's been hard for you, but what are people in the city missing with your services right now?
Well, they were saying, well, we wish you all get back to work real soon because the people who's doing the job now, they're not capable. I'm getting complaints that bodies are being left in yards for 2.5 hours, 3 hours. The police have to sit there and wait on them. You know, it's been terrible. It's been a real bad experience over the last year almost.
Where are you hearing these complaints from, or like where you're hearing?
Well, we're hearing the complaint for various colleagues. Some people at the funeral home. Some people just everyday people like friends and family. A lot of friends and family know that I do this to them. And I've been doing it for a while. So they're saying like, "Hey, what's going on?" I'm like, "Well, we're not doing the job right now." So it's a real task out there. You know, the other individuals that are doing the job, they're not equipped enough to do the job. In order to do this job, you have to be fully equipped with about 20 to 25 employees. They're not nowhere close to that at all.
Can you spell your first and last name for me?
All right, we've been listening into this press conference there about body removal in the city of Chicago. We heard from John Stamps. He is the owner of Allied Services Group, and one of his employees who's speaking right now, also community advocate Andrew Holmes, and Mr. Stamps' attorneys, Tom Gardner and John Shefflow, as they have been going over the complaints that have led them to this press conference today, saying that the city of Chicago ignored its own rules, handed a multi-million-dollar contract to a company that didn't fill out the paperwork correctly, and then cut off a 14-year partnership contract with Allied without any notice. So they say this is a flawed bid that should have been rejected, but the result of it has been that grieving Chicago families wait hours sometimes for their loved ones to be collected. If you can think about the fact that that might not just be when your lowest moment, when the person that you love is lost from natural causes, but even if it's something even more maybe traumatic, that they're sitting with bodies for hours, that police officers are having to sit with bodies for hours. I can remember as a general assignment reporter sitting out with officers holding up a body for quite a long time, and how traumatic that is to everyone out there. So they're saying that they have never had any complaints in the 14 years that they have had this bid, that it has now been turned over to a funeral home that only has possibly one employee, possibly. Again, these are their allegations here dating back to July 1st of 2025. So it's been quite some time here, and they are working now with these attorneys to try to get that contract back. They say that the breach of contract has cost them in excess of $150,000 on top of all of the other things that are happening throughout the city. It's 2:31. Obviously, this is a story we'll continue to follow as the legal process plays out. Give us 2 minutes, though, and we'll get to our next discussion here on the show. Okay, we're back at 2:33 right now, and moving on to a partnership here that really seeks to enroll at least 1 million people to build what they're calling an indispensable resource that accelerates precision medicine for everyone. Let's get into the details of the partnership and also what could come from it from All of Us Research Program, Dr. Josh Denny. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I see you all are working with the National Institutes of Health, the University of Chicago, and there may be others involved in this. Explain what you all are trying to do and what you need from each of us.
Well, thank you so much. It's great to have the opportunity to talk with you all. Fundamentally, we are trying to build one of the largest research cohorts in history and represent all of America, all communities, lifestyles, biology, and environmental exposures to solve chronic disease, rare disease, acute disease in a way we've never done before. And you're right, Chicago is deeply involved. We have University of Chicago, Northwestern, UIC, all part of this program to recruit. And in fact, over 60,000 people in Chicago have already joined the program.
Wow.
To really transform how we take care of everyone and find new discoveries, new health in a way and pace that we've never done before.
It requires our saliva?
So, people enroll when they come in. They join a website, joinallofus.org. After you go to that website, you fill out a few surveys. You can be invited to contribute a biosample. It can be as simple as saliva. We also can collect blood and urine. And after that, there's an app that people use and can, answer questions periodically. We potentially get in touch with you. And there's other ways to participate as well. We have studies that launch out of All of Us, including 2 in Chicago, one that looks at the influences of diet on health and things like people wear glasses that take pictures of their food optionally to help them train a diet algorithm and help understand the influence of their diet on health. And we're also taking pictures of people's eyes. We give them a picture back afterwards of what that looks like. And we're going to learn all sorts of things from your eye. Like not just do you have glaucoma or cataracts, but things like how healthy is your heart, we think, and whether you're at risk for Alzheimer's or Parkinson's. This data, this resource and these participants, especially in Chicago, where we have all these other studies available, is one where we are really learning a lot for how we can treat disease in the future.
I mean, obviously, I could think of a million things positively that could come from something like this. You name some things there. But I can also, the minute you talk about research and people opting in or all of those things, think of other things that may be concerning for people. How do you deal with differing levels of trust? Especially, I see here, diverse participants, and obviously in diverse communities, you might think of like Henrietta Lacks or other people whose bodies or their being was used without their permission in ways that they did not give permission. So how do you deal with that?
It's such great things to bring up, and research moves at the speed of trust, and it's really important that we maintain that trust with our participants. You mentioned Henrietta Lacks. As we started, the Lacks family was part of some of our advisors. We talked with them. They were big supporters of the program, and really how we could do things differently. So, we actually have a very, I think, open and thorough consent process using videos to explain things. Try not to overpromise, but be very clear with what's going to happen. And then, we've done things in a different way for a lot of things. One is we partner with institutions across the country, and it's not just your academic institutions. It's also a lot of engagement partners that represent, typically underrepresented populations, and help us give us their voice. We have participants that are actually part of the program advising us every step of the way and every level of governance with every new kind of study that we do. We have oversight on many different levels and help in the process to help us think through how to do that in the best way we can and maintain that trust. And then we return information back to participants. We heard as we started, we did what we like focus groups in 17 cities across the country, one of which was Chicago. We did a number of these engagement studios where we got residents of Chicago to give us input, and really focused on diverse representation to give us that input. And one of the things that we heard is people wanted information back. So we've been returning lots of different information back to try to keep people up to date of what we're learning for people's health, how they can apply it to their lives, how we're using the information, and also a lot of times specific results. If we have a result that we can return and meets all the qualifications and rules around returning results, we try to do that as well.
And, I also think of the Tuskegee experiment. Again, when it comes to these types of things, how do you even ensure privacy? It's one thing for me to find out what's going on with me if I participate, but it might come into your mind, well, am I the only person you're sharing that information with?
Yes. So privacy, maintaining that is job one. And you mentioned Tuskegee. We also worked with them as well, and they were a partner, the institution as well as the descendants of those who were studied in the Tuskegee experiments, against their will in ways that we are, are unknown, I guess is a better way to say it, that we would not consider ethical, and to just make sure we're on the up and up with what we're doing. We maintain privacy as best we can by really making it a focus. We have industry standard processes really at the forefront. We invite people to help us, not only third-party people to assess the standards that we're adhering to, but also to try to break in and tell us things that we aren't, making sure that we are keeping the digital front door as well locked as we can and protected while maintaining researcher access. And we don't let anyone download the data. What they do is they do the analysis in our research cloud, vetted researchers who we know who their identity is. We know the institution they belong to. They sign contracts. They do education in the process. And in all the data they work with is de-identified. So it doesn't have any of those obvious names and addresses. We have an abstracted layer that they use looking at the individual data to do those studies.
And I wanted to talk about those things up front because I think that on the flip side, those are reasons why we end up with studies so often where they say that minorities are underrepresented. There is a deep level of distrust that then people don't participate in things like this. And then when studies are coming out, it's, minorities are underrepresented in it.
That's so true. And unfortunately, that distrust is earned through the history of science. And, our job is to change that. And I'm proud to say that half of our participants, roughly, are racial ethnic minorities, or I should say maybe minoritized groups. And over 80% of our population is underrepresented in biomedical research. It's been a real focus of our efforts to make sure individuals are engaged and give us feedback. And overall, we have nearly 900,000 people across the country in 98% of the zip codes of the United States that have joined the program. So it really represents a national program where you have hundreds of partners that have helped us build this program.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Let's circle back to if people want to participate, how they can do that.
Great. JoinAllOfUs.org. Is the website. Please go in, sign up today, and go through some of those surveys, and then you could connect with one of those institutions in Chicago that's enrolling. Great partners of ours, and available for those studies on diet, available for those studies on eye health, and more studies to come.
Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Denny. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, take care. It's 2:43, everyone. We're going to take a 2-minute break before we get to a reporter from our sister station with a doozy of a story today. right, 2:45, and most people know that the job of a landlord is rarely easy. But you probably don't expect these types of issues like what a reporter from our sister station in Detroit is reporting on today. Jessica Dupnack is joining me now with the details. Take it away.
Hi, how are you?
Well, doing all right. I don't know about this landlord, though.
Yeah, this was crazy. We got a call into our newsroom this week. A couple of tenants in it's a suburb of Detroit had said that they caught their landlord sleeping with a woman, getting frisky right on their floor, right in front of home security footage. And they were actually at the hospital with a sick relative watching in real time as this all unfolded. It was unbelievable. I have not heard or seen something quite like this, although I'm sure it happens. And we confronted the landlord yesterday. We paid him a little bit of a visit, ran into him. He, of course, denied that he had any part in this at all, and kind of ran away, got in his car, and avoided any further questions. But yeah, that's what we're looking at, and it's pretty unbelievable that it was on camera. We, of course, had to use that blur tool pretty heavily yesterday in our coverage. But since the story aired, it's gone completely viral. I think people definitely are fascinated by this whole thing and how it all unfolded.
I mean, the fact that you own the home and you don't know there are cameras?
Interesting, right? Yeah. So in the camera, it looks like a camera. I mean, it was a little bit concealed, it wasn't right out in the open. But you think if you're going to do something like that, that's definitely unsavory, that you're going to want to maybe look around and see if anybody's watching. You got to assume you're always being recorded nowadays, it seems.
And so at the very least, are these tenants maybe getting a break on their rent?
That's what I said. I said they need a discount. What was interesting, what kind of came up yesterday is whether or not this is a crime. And we consulted some local prosecutors and defense attorneys. And that's the thing. They're a little bit split on whether this is a crime or not. Maybe trespassing, because even though they had permission to come inside and make some repairs on this house, there's only a certain scope to which you have permission to come inside someone's home, even if you own it. So possibly these folks have a civil matter on their hands. They're not going to leave the house. They're about halfway through a year lease there, and they're going to stick it out. But they did say if they have any repairs that need to be made, they're not going to call the landlord. They're going to outsource it. So
yeah,
crazy stuff.
Outsource and not have to pay for it, I would hope. And then what about cleaning? I mean, because if you're the one living in the house.
Yeah, in the husband and wife, the husband's name's Javon Crawford. His wife didn't want to go on camera, and he said his wife is a germaphobe, so she wouldn't even get back in the house. He had to do like a deep clean before she would even come into the house. And we did the interview kind of at the scene of the crime, unfortunately, so I know it's probably a little bit triggering for them, but they're trying to move past it as best they can, hoping that it won't happen again, but they're leaving those cameras up just in case something crazy happens in the future.
And I guess too, this is still their landlord. Are they at all worried about retribution and the person putting them out?
Yeah, that's it. And I thought of that too. I even advised them. I said, once we put this out on the news, it's going to go crazy. You guys got to think that through before talking to us. We always say that as reporters and anchors, kind of, this is the fallout. And they said they wanted to out him. They said, you know what, this is egregious. He owns other properties in the Metro Detroit area, and we want people to be aware that this stuff can happen. So yeah, I think they're a little concerned, but I think this guy is more embarrassed, if I could read the situation correctly, as opposed to looking to retaliate or something like that.
And who was the woman? Did they know who the woman was? Was she the repair person, or?
She's a mystery woman at this point. All we know about her is she kept her sneakers on pretty much the whole time. She had pajamas on. We saw her from behind, couldn't see much of her face. They did ask around the neighborhood to see if anybody maybe knew this woman, if she lived around, because not just the landlord is responsible for all of this. The woman involved could be on the hook for maybe something potentially down the road if it's a civil matter. So no, the long answer to that is no, we really don't know who this mystery woman is. But yeah, she got herself into something.
If I weren't a brown girl, I would be the color of my
I think I had to watch the video, and it was really funny. So when they sent it to us, I'm 8 months pregnant, and Javon, the tenant, he goes, I don't know if I want you watching this video in your condition. I think he was worried he'd send me into labor or something.
Oh my goodness. Wait. And so I hear you've had maybe some similar, like, okay, you told me he reached out to you about this.
Yes.
Is this like people reach out to you with like the craziest kind of stories? Because I've heard you've had some similar ones.
I don't know what that says about me, but anytime there is someone naked, someone doing something in a car or a bus or God knows what, I'm kind of the go-to. So I've made a little bit of a name for myself. Again, I don't know if my journalism school professors would be proud of me or not, but it's definitely a niche. Monday I had a twerking politician. She's using TikTok. She's twerking all over TikTok, trying to get votes, going a little bit of an alternative campaign route. So it's been a long week already.
Well, did it work for her?
You know what? She's kind of gone crazy in terms of popularity because people appreciate her candor. You know, these politicians, they kind of live in the shadows sometimes, and there are different people on camera. This woman is saying, look, I'm going to be the same person no matter who's watching or what's watching. So we'll see what happens with her. But I appreciate her candor as well.
I need you to know you have some fans around here. So they said you also had a school bus driver situation.
Oh, the bus, man, the bus. Yes. These two school employees were caught in a Walmart parking lot in the middle of the day, getting busy in one of the seats, and someone recorded it. And of course, it landed on my desk, and we did some digging, and in fact, all checked out. But yeah, no tints on those windows in the middle of the Walmart parking lot. So that was another crazy one.
Well. Yeah, I don't know how you keep but you know what? Maybe your journalism professors would be proud to, based on how you've written these.
Okay.
I mean, it could be the video that has everyone going, or it could be how well you've put the stories together. You know.
Well, thank you. Yes, I have a knack for it, I suppose. We all have our own niche, and I guess I've found mine. But thank you. More to come. This city does not disappoint when it comes to news. So I can't take all
Detroit. Thanks for chatting with me about it today. I don't know if we have these things going on in Chicago, but
I'll come guest star next time you do. All right.
Will do. Again. Now that they've seen you here, they're gonna start sending you tips from here.
That's right.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
2:53, everyone. Whew, details of that story. Goodness grief. Let's take a 2-minute break, and then we'll kind of see if we have a little bit of extra time. I'll let you know about some of the things that are populating on our website right now. And if we start to get into that 3 o'clock hour, I'll let you know what is to come in the hour ahead. Okay, everyone, 2:55 right now. Since we have a little extra time before we get to the 3 o'clock hour, let's go over some of the things that are trending on our website right now. We're going to start you in DuPage County here with a story that you heard about first here. We had our 5 p.m. producer, Sloan Salerno, who was giving us the preview yesterday for the later shows, and she said that they had a story coming up from Leslie Moreno about DuPage County residents who say there is a rat infestation that's just taken over their neighborhood, and they say they are freaking out. So they have the video to prove it, and these neighbors along Pine Grove Avenue say that someone is not keeping up with their property, and it's affecting everyone in the area, that these rats have been going berserk since 2024, and that the problem is only getting worse. They say that the rats are damaging homes, invading garages and backyards, leaving a foul odor even. And DuPage County says it's been working to address the issue, but officials say extermination efforts cannot fully continue until the inside of the problem property is cleaned. So we have the video there on our website if you want to check out what they are going through. Clearly a lot of people are clicking on it to look at what's happening there. Oh boy, just if you have an issue with rats, don't click on the video. Just take a look at the information about it, because there's plenty of rats in the video. All right, also, there's this back and forth between Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson and Governor Pritzker that is trending on our website right now. And this really has to do with the Bears stadium drama. You know, we're looking live into the council chambers where they have so many different issues that they are addressing today, that they have been voting on today. Mayor Johnson is sitting at the front. You can see that's Alderman Irvin who is speaking right now. They have several things on the agenda for today, but you know, essentially Governor Pritzker said that Mayor Johnson, in the governor's words, his last minute efforts to come down to Springfield and fight for the Bears to stay in Chicago, in his words, were typical, and that the mayor didn't have an actual plan, that he came down to Springfield without an actual plan, and that a plan should have been in place even 3 years ago. Of course, we're waiting on this decision to come in, the next week and a half. The Bears want something concrete in their hands from Illinois by May 31st. So the fact that they're still back and forth over some things, the mega projects bill is passed through the House. It's now in the Senate, but still have a whole lot of voices that are coming up right now before it actually gets to the governor's desk. So Mayor Brandon Johnson had some words, some response about what the governor had to say about him, and he jabbed back, and he responded to the criticism about his efforts. The mayor referenced Governor Pritzker's wealth while saying that the Bears leaving Chicago would hurt the state's economic engine. He said, and I quote, "I'm not a billionaire." Of course, the governor is a billionaire. And Johnson has repeatedly, of course, argued that the Bears should stay in the city of Chicago. We would expect that, right? You are the mayor of this city, so you should be fighting for them to stay in this city. But yesterday, the Bears were meeting, and they had the owners meeting. Roger Goodell came out. He said there are only 2 options right now for the Bears. That would be Arlington Heights or Hammond, Indiana. Nothing else. Not Soldier Field, not renovations to it, not extending it. Arlington Heights or Hammond, Indiana. And so the back and forth is also catching a lot of attention on our website right now. That article is there if you want to check it out. Of course, even since we've posted it, the back and forth has gone from the mayor and the governor to the president and the governor. That's a whole nother chain of events that's taken place in the last 24 hours. So we have that information there on our website. I'll tell you about one more thing here. A civil liberty advocate suing Illinois over a show your papers Neighbors gun law. This is the New Civil Liberties Alliance that's filed this lawsuit against Illinois officials over the state's Firearm Owners Identification Act, the FOID Act, also known there, and the state law that requires Illinois residents to apply for and carry an identification card at all times to possess any firearm or ammunition. That is also populating on our website. Lots of people clicking on that as well. So those are three of the things that are populating at this moment. Of course, we're constantly adding more content there. This is all at fox32chicago.com. You can check it out at any time. Now that we're at 3:01 right now, let me tell you about what's coming up in this hour before we take a quick break and then proceed. We're going to talk about USTA Tennis Month and a wonderful effort by someone who knows very well what it's like to learn the game, phase out the noise, and succeed. And now she's teaching that to a new generation. We'll get an update on the weather outside. Listen, people are out and about. It's a beautiful day. That sunshine is not coming with the most warmth. Look at that. This is our 2800 camera over Lakeshore Drive. I mean, you would think like, oh, go run out and play. Well, just grab your jacket and you could do that. It's a little cool, especially from where we've been over the last several days. But hey, at least we're not getting storms in the area. So we'll talk with JD about that. We'll get an update on what's coming up in the later shows. And we're going to talk about affordable housing and how to make it more accessible coming up after this quick break. Welcome back, everyone. It's just about 3:05 right now as we get into a discussion about affordable housing in the city of Chicago and new efforts that are being made to make sure that it's accessible to more people. In fact, we have the Executive Vice President of Access Living, who is joining us right now, Daisy Fight, to talk more about what's out there and available for people at this moment and maybe some of the things that are on the way. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
And Daisy, did I get your last name correct?
You did.
Okay, all right.
Perfect.
So tell me about this effort to make finding affordable housing easier. Like, what is the issue that people are experiencing, and how are you all trying to solve it?
Yeah, so I work at Access Living, which is a disability rights and services organization. And one of the things that we do is try to help people find affordable, accessible housing, folks who have disabilities. And it's been one of the biggest challenges that we've had in the nearly, over 40 years that we've been in existence. I've worked at Access Living for 27 years. We get the most requests for people looking for affordable, accessible, integrated housing. And we really have not had a lot of options to give to people. And today, the City Council passed two important initiatives that help to solve the problem. One is an ordinance that will create a waiting or a list that people can go on to find affordable, accessible housing. And the other, which is really significant, relates to a lawsuit that Access Living filed 8 years ago that will create more accessible units within the city's affordable housing program and make sure that the city is following policies that allow people to find those units and actually get into them when there's available units for them that work for their accessibility needs.
Tell me more about that lawsuit.
Yeah, so we had spent a lot of years trying to work with the city to resolve some of the issues that we were seeing with our folks, our community of people with disabilities who we serve. And after not really making much progress on that front, we decided to file a lawsuit 8 years ago that was going to hopefully compel the city to follow federal fair housing laws or housing laws that allow people to make sure that there's accessible housing available for people in the affordable housing program to be able to go into.
And so the settlement, how does that fit into the vote today?
So the City Council voted on the settlement. So it's now, once it gets entered as a court order, it will be effective and will be on a trajectory of the city having to comply with the settlement. It includes creating 2,800 units for accessible units for people with disabilities. 2,000 of those will be for mobility impairments, folks with mobility disabilities, and 800 are for folks with sensory disabilities. They're also going to have to create policies and practices that make sure that the units that are accessible actually go to the people with disabilities that need them. There's going to be a portal that connects back to the ordinance that I was talking about that actually lists the accessible units that are in the city's affordable housing program. So we should see a really big change. This will result in really big change for people with disabilities for whom it's been very difficult to find affordable housing. We've had folks who have had to go into nursing homes because they can't find accessible affordable housing. They are in housing that's not accessible to them. Sometimes it actually exacerbates their disabilities. So these are really, foundational, real world things that prevent folks from living in places that are accessible to them. So this settlement is a really big deal, and it's going to make a very big change for folks with disabilities who live in Chicago.
And when you talk about 2,800 units, can you give us an idea? I mean, working with this community on a regular basis is that like a drop in the bucket? Like what is maybe an overview of the need?
Yeah. So I can say from Access Living standpoint, we get over 100 calls a month from people looking for affordable, accessible housing. I think the 2,800 units that need to be created, and that's actually over a 12-year period, will definitely help a lot. It is, an important solution. It is definitely not the only solution. We need other things to help, take care of this need that folks have. But it is going to make a really big difference. And one of the biggest things is not just the units, which that's very significant in and of itself, but the fact that the policies will be in place. There's going to be mechanisms for the city to actually check to make sure that the housing that should be accessible is accessible for people with disabilities. So those more longer term policies and practices are things that are going to make the biggest difference, I think, over a long period.
Mm-hmm. And you kind of detailed where many people end up if these things are not addressed. But even this tool to find housing easier, like how difficult has it been? Daisy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. I apologize.
No, it's okay. I was asking you, you gave us an overview of some of the places and the situations that people end up in when the things that you were talking about go unaddressed. But when it comes to this tool that's being created, this portal that's being created, how hard was it to find housing before this?
It's been very, very challenging. We have often said, I started 27 years ago at Access Living on the housing team, and we've said that finding affordable, accessible housing is a little bit like finding a needle in a haystack. It's just very difficult. Oftentimes it's word of mouth. People with disabilities are talking to each other to give each other leads. We're calling individual developers. And so having a centralized list for folks that actually lists accessibility features so people can know whether the housing is going to work for them is going to be a very big change and very positive.
When you say like know whether the housing will work for them, I think these are things that a lot of people take for granted, who don't maybe have the same types of issues or life circumstances that maybe someone else does. Tell me what it's like to do this work and to come up with these solutions and see it work for people.
Yeah. There's, like I said, I've been in this field for a very long time. I really enjoy working with the folks that are employed by Access Living, which, by the way, a majority of our staff are people with disabilities. So even our staff face these issues. Our board also is a majority people with disabilities. There's a side where it's absolutely wonderful to work with folks and work on these issues, but it can be really challenging and hard, too, to see the challenges that folks go through. Somebody was speaking earlier today who's had a lot of issues with housing, who's been homeless because she can't find affordable, accessible housing. Again, people are in nursing homes when they can't find affordable, accessible housing, or they can't get out their front door, and so they're trapped inside their house. So these are really, really big problems that this is going to help to solve. And it's great to be a part of this really historic win.
And getting people in a home is one thing. How do you all work to address maintenance?
Yeah, it always is our hope that we're getting somebody in a house that they can then sustain. And often we're connecting folks to housing choice vouchers or other mechanisms that allow people to pay for the housing over the long term. And the fact that of these 2,800 units are going to be deeply affordable will also help with that sustainability issue of making sure people can stay in housing. So it's always our goal that folks can stay. And the fact that the housing will be accessible to them and really meet their folks' needs is going to be huge towards that sustainability piece as well.
Do you find that the city readily works with you all towards these solutions? Or that it's really an uphill battle for you all when you're fighting these fights to have the funding? Where's the funding coming from for this? Give us an idea, a window into that.
Yeah, so Access Living, has been around since 1980. We've had a lot of different issues that we've worked with the city on over that time. A lot of times our work with the city is very collaborative, and we want to continue in that vein. I will say this was not an easy fight to win. It took, it did take filing a lawsuit, and it was an 8-year lawsuit. So we filed it in 2018. So it's been a long time coming. And, we're just glad that the day is finally here.
Wow. Well, thank you for continuing to fight. We appreciate what you do for so many and filling in the gap for people who may not be able to do what you've been able to do. We appreciate you making time for us today as well.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity.
All right, everyone. It's about 3:15 right now. Let's take a 2-minute break, and then hopefully we can get an update on what's to come in our later newscast. All right, welcome back, everyone. It's just about 3:20, and I told you earlier that if you were with us earlier, that we have been monitoring city council chambers today because there were several big items that they were going to be going over. I mean, we got a list of things that were on their agenda today that have created several stories. So we're going to listen for maybe 6 to 8 minutes or so into where the discussion is now. You can see Alderman Burnett is speaking at the moment, and we'll see where things are and where they're headed.
Are protected in this season. Yeah, I was giving a little, I know, it's building up for the moment. Apologize. Our food's great. Don't get me wrong. It's still best food in the country. But this is a really great opportunity for us to take the time to examine the issues and challenges that are happening in the restaurant industry today. Between the national issues that aren't our fault at all, the tariffs, the increased gas prices, the changing technology, we need the opportunity to study how all of these cost impacts are making our restaurant industry struggle. Because things are changing. Whether we like it or not, they're changing. The technology, Alderman Sposato mentioned the credit cards and the fees that they pay and making restaurants pay in order to just do basic payment opportunities. There are a lot of new additions post-pandemic that are encumbering our restaurants in the city of Chicago because of it. So let's take the time to do the right diligence, and more importantly, let's make sure that we figure out how to hold these bad actors accountable. There is rate stuff that goes on. By all means, there's one in my ward that's still in litigation to this day. And we have to figure out how we make sure that our workers are protected and that they aren't going 2 years trying to get their back pay for a job that they did 3-4 years ago. That's not acceptable. And it's on us to figure out how we make sure that those restaurants and those bad actors are being held accountable for their actions. But today is an opportunity to meet the need of both the workers and the restaurateurs who are trying to employ people in communities, whether it's downtown, in Garfield Park, out in Lawndale. We need our restaurants. They are the places where our community go to feel like home. It is our identity. And if we don't have them, we aren't connected. So I thank you to everyone who has worked so hard to making sure that we got here. Alderperson Fuentes, Alderman Quinn, Alderwoman Nugent, Alderman Villegas, and Chairman Rodriguez. This has been a team collaborative effort. I truly mean it. It gave me hope on what government can actually be. Because we all know where we were a month ago, and it wasn't cordial. So thank you all for the support, and I please ask my colleagues to support this endeavor on behalf of everyone.
Are there any other alders that wish to speak to this item? Alderman Moore.
The food is the best in the world.
All right, thank you for that. Are there any other alders that wish to speak to this item? All right, seeing other hands, Alder Fuentes would like to close, and before the chairman closes.
Thank you, Mr. President. When compromise is reached, people don't leave happy. I know I'm not happy about this. I'm quite heartbroken. As someone who introduced the One Fair Wage ordinance to this body almost 3 years ago, I did it because I understood one thing. The hospitality industry is inequitable. Women in particular have to consistently face sexual harassment to get tips to make that livable wage to be able to pay their bills at home. That not all restaurants are able to send their tipped workers home with an average hourly rate of $25 an hour. That so many tipped workers in the city of Chicago do not report wage theft because we currently have a system that takes about 2 to 3 years to reach a verdict on whether or not they're going to get their back pay from that reporting. There is a system that doesn't allow folks to have confidence that when they report that wage theft, that there won't be any retaliation. We fought for one fair wage so that no matter the color of one's skin or the zip code that they reside in, that they can take a wage home that will pay their bills and support their families. That is why we passed one fair wage, and I still to this day believe that that's important. I do. I still believe today that the commitment we made 3 years ago to phase out the sub-minimum wage and to have folks make a minimum wage with tips on top is still the thing that this municipality must do. But we all came in with concerns, and we have all heard from the business sector, and we heard each other the last time that we voted down an ordinance that sought to eliminate one fair wage in its entirety. This compromise is an ordinance that will listen to the business sector and say they need a beat. They need a beat because of the tariffs that our president has put in place that has increased the cost of food, oil, gas. That they need a beat from insurance companies that are doubling their policies overnight. That they need a beat to make sure that they can keep their doors open and keep their folks employed. And this pause makes a promise that once business owners have that beat, that our tipped workers will get a wage increase. And that we will not capitulate on that commitment that they will get a raise. I don't love the compromise, but it brings two sides to the table to meet in the middle. And the alternative is that we keep a tip credit and that the conditions that we are fighting against continue to exist. And so I ask the body for a couple things. Allow this to be the last time that we litigate this. Let us take the pause. Let businesses have the beat. And then let's give our workers the raises that they deserve. Let's lean on our state colleagues to figure out how we hold insurance companies responsible for the level of increases that are pricing them out of the ability to even be owners of the hospitality businesses that they have in our wards. And when tipped workers report to us that someone has stolen their wages, let us fight like hell to make sure they get their fair pay. And so today, we're going to pass this compromise, but that's not the end of our work. There's so much that we need to do for workers in the city of Chicago. Because our business owners are facing rent increases, so are our workers. Our businesses are facing utility increases, so are our workers. And we also have an obligation to them. And I'm a person of my word. We reached a compromise, and that compromise I will support today. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Chairman, before you close, Alderman Knudsen has requested to participate in today's, this portion of the meeting remotely for reasons stated in Rule 59. Madam Clerk, can you confirm his
Alderman Knudsen.
presence?
I'm present. Thank you.
Can I get a motion for the approval? It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed say nay. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. All right, our final speaker here for this item, Chairman. Sorry, Alderman Bill is back. He wants to speak.
Thank you.
Alderman Bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to speak on this briefly because I know it's been a long day for everybody. However, I just want to play the tape back from when we first talked about this issue. And I want to, first of all, commend my colleagues for understanding that we were hurting business. And if you hurt business, you hurt jobs in the end. Without business, there are no jobs. And so when this ordinance was passed initially, we asked very pertinent questions about had we done any research, have we done any background, had we done any, have we talked to people about the impact of this ordinance? And the answer to that question was no. It was no. So we can't pass ordinances in this body without doing research, without doing some type of impact study on what it's going to do to business, what it's going to do to jobs. And so we had to learn the hard way with with this ordinance. We had to wait to lose jobs. We had to wait to lose businesses. We had to wait to see how harmful this ordinance was to decide, oh.
All right, we've been listening in to what ended up being a very timely discussion about the One Fair Wage Act, the Tipped Wage Act that has become so controversial. Of course, this was, thought of a couple of years ago, brought to the table, voted on, and then the restaurateurs said, wait, this is going to put us out of business. And so the alders came back to the table. They tried to put a freeze on the one tipped, the one fair wage, which is a gradual increase of of a raise for many of the workers in the hospitality industry. Mayor Johnson put a veto on it. The alders tried to override it, didn't have enough votes, but then they came up with another method to put a freeze on it so that they could at least come back to the table and discuss it. They have today. We initially heard from Alderman Burnett and then Alderman Fuentes there, who says that the hospitality industry is inherently inequitable in her opinion there, and that the tipped wage she fought hard for. But even though, there's a bit of a compromise that's happened today, so no one is leaving fully happy, she does believe that this gives a beat for them to listen to the business owners who are legitimately hurting, facing many challenges, but then also give a promise to the workers that they will circle back, they will get the raise that they have committed to. As we were kind of ending our time in their chambers listening in, Alderman Beal was standing up to talk about the fact he doesn't feel like there was enough research from the outset for the one fair wage to even proceed forward, and that maybe if they had researched it more from the outset, they wouldn't be here having to do all of this back and forth. All right, we're going to take a beat ourselves. Give us 2 minutes, and we have meteorologist J.D. Rudd, who just walked in. We'll bring a chair in and get the latest from him in terms of our forecast. Welcome back, everyone. 3:34 right now. Our friend meteorologist J.D. Rudd is up here to tell us a little bit more about what we're experiencing outside. I mean, the sun is doing its
Beautiful.
part today
It's
from
great.
a beauty standpoint. Look
Yeah,
at that.
Yeah, it looks phenomenal. It looks like a great day. It looks like we should all be outside enjoying this beautiful 20th day of May.
But the reality is, if
Yeah.
you want to enjoy it, you
Yeah.
might need a jacket.
Yeah, a jacket, a long pair of pants, maybe, an extra jacket or two. I mean, listen, if from the inside looking out, it's not bad. If you're
Mhm.
away from the wind, away from the elements, maybe perched up in a corner seat somewhere near the
Mhm.
windows,
Mhm.
it's great. It's not
Okay.
bad.
Mhm.
The wind is strong, and the wind is coming in off of Lake Michigan. And that is,
Chill.
yeah, that's the part that's getting us. A lot of lakeside areas right now are barely into the 50s. If you go a little bit far,
barely.
like 51, 52 right now, yeah.
Mm.
And if you go into our what I call interior counties, just a little bit, inland, just a little bit, you're around 55 to about 58. That's
Mhm.
still cool and quite a bit cooler from yesterday. And then if you go far enough away from the lake, our far southern, southwesternmost areas, it's about 64 to 66.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, not
That's
bad.
okay. We can deal with that. But everyone has the breeze.
Mhm.
That does make it feel cooler. But at least we have sunshine.
Mhm.
Because imagine all this with a gray sky and just
Yeah.
kind of that, ugh,
We'd all
look.
be like, oh, come on. Come on.
Yes. Now, here's the other thing I'll tell you, too. This is likely the coolest day of at least the next week,
Okay.
2 weeks,
Mm.
2 or 3 months.
Oh, now you're talking.
Well, statistics, it's how it usually goes. We're
Mhm.
heading toward the unofficial start to summer. June is just about, a week and a half away?
Yeah.
I mean, it's coming. It's going
Fast.
to be here. It's going to be here. So
Yeah.
this, as I put it in our 2 o'clock meeting today, for those who are like, oh, it's cool again, this might be the last break your air conditioner gets for a while. This might be a break that your power bill gets for a while, because once we get in that hot season, especially think about those that live in the apartment complexes,
Mhm.
things higher aloft, you're
Mhm.
running those air conditioners more constantly, or at least
Mhm.
fans or something like that.
Yeah.
That power bill goes up and up and up as you try to
Mhm.
cool yourself down.
Yeah, you definitely ComEd sends you the thing that shows where you were last week
Yes,
versus
yes.
this week. I'm like,
You start, ooh, that's how you know the temperatures are changing.
yeah. Oh,
Uh-huh.
okay. All right. So, will we keep the beauty? That's another question.
So I believe so. I was looking at the forecast model data about a half hour ago, and it tries to suggest the next day or so is going to go back to being cloudy.
Oh.
I don't buy that, because
Mhm.
the data for today said most of the day was going to be mostly cloudy.
Mhm.
We got a fairly sunny
Yeah.
sky out there.
Yeah.
I don't see what's going to change that. There's an area of high pressure right on top of us. That's usually sinking air.
Mhm.
It tends to prevent big time cloud cover, so I think we see more sunshine tomorrow. Friday, however, storm system slides by to our south. We catch the top edge of that. We'll likely get rain. Friday will probably be a cloudy and wet looking day, but the temperatures go higher.
Okay.
Tomorrow, I've got us around 60. Friday, around 64. Inland, most areas, I'm thinking upper 60s to near 70 on Friday. But again, a chance of rain off and on. I don't think it rains all day, but there could be some morning rain, a break, some midday rain, a break, some evening rain, a break, and then Saturday, we're looking okay. 70.
Mm-hmm.
More clouds than sun.
And for a lot of people, it's a 3-day weekend.
And if you took Friday off, it's a 4-day weekend. So I'm sorry that we get the holiday weekend off on the wet start there for Friday, but Saturday looks good. Sunday, I've got a 20% number in there because early in the morning, maybe there's a shower.
All right.
Maybe.
When you say early in the morning,
Let's
when
go
do you
bef-
think that's out of there?
Before 7 a.m., there could be a shower. Most of the day, and that's how I try to paint my 7-day forecast, is during the day,
Yeah.
when people are out doing something, how's it going to shake out? What's the flavor of the day? I
Yeah.
think for Sunday, we see sunshine, we see temperatures close to 80, and then Memorial Day Monday, how about sunny and 80 on the nose?
Wow.
I got to tweak that number there on Tuesday. I left the 11% in there. It should be a 10%.
Okay.
I can't rule out a straight pop-up shower on Tuesday, but I think we're looking dry. We're also in the 80s. So as I mentioned, this today might be the last time we see highs in the 50s for a while, which oddly enough, did some more stat digging.
Okay.
Take a guess, take a wild stab at what the average date is for our last high temperature to stall out in the 50s.
May 21st.
Oh, so close. May 20th.
It's today?
Today.
Really?
So we are right where we should be. So if all
and your
things play out,
statistics.
yeah, I'm a numbers geek, Anita. It's all that I know. It's number. That's it.
But then when you put it out there, then I'm like,
You start writing
let
it
me-
down.
Yeah, I'm like,
Uh-huh.
all
No,
right,
me
all
too.
right. This is what I'm. May 10th. This is when things should change. May 21st.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So I'm optimistic. We're gonna be right on par with that, and things will warm up. And I'm not going to promise we're going to stay in the 80s, but I'm fairly confident we're done seeing highs in the 50s in general once we get past today.
Okay, May 20th.
There you go.
All right, grateful for a little change, or at least light at the end of a tunnel. You know, we're talking about things that are coming up fast, and you're like, but when you do have a dreary, cool day at this time, you're like, man, winter has played with us forever.
For way too
Let
long.
go.
I know. Well, we know how it goes. Our summer season is so short.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, once it finally
it's so
ramps
great.
up, it's great.
And yet it's so short.
It's quick. And then before you know it, you're back into the fall season.
Yeah.
The flannels coming out, the pumpkin spice, this, that, and the others
now
everywhere.
Listen,
I know.
I ride for
I
pumpkin
know.
spice.
But it's
but I want my summer.
It's the harbinger of what's coming. You see the pumpkin spice and you go, oh, that's where my I got to get the shovel ready.
Oh
I
my
gotta
goodness.
Back up the lawn.
Pumpkin spice, I'm like, but I can hold off for a while. I can
Let's
hold off
push
for a
that
while.
back as long as we can.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay. So, have you kind of looked? We've talked about what's happening here at home. Have you looked at some other things? Is anything else, kind of catching your attention throughout the country?
What has grabbed my attention today is the rainfall going on across portions of Texas, the Gulf Coast area. They've seen some severe weather there.
Really?
But it's a give and a take, and I think we talked about this a couple of days ago. Much of the southern half of the country is in desperate need of moisture. There's a big time drought from Florida to the southern Gulf states into Texas. So they're getting that moisture, which they need, but it's coming with some severe weather in some cases. And then as we talked yesterday, the ongoing wildfires out west, that is still just a sad situation to see, and there's no big time relief in sight for them. There's no monster rainstorm coming to help out. It's just the men and women who are trying their best to mitigate what's going on out there. So those are the two things I'm keeping eyes on.
They have had such a rough go the last several days. And again, I mean, we keep saying again. That's one of the hardest things about it. So 3:41, and I'll leave you with, on Wednesday, we wore pink.
We did wear pink on this Wednesday. If you don't follow along.
If you don't follow the movie. On Wednesday, we wore pink. Thank you so much for coming up. We appreciate it. 3:41, everyone. Give us 2 minutes and we'll be back. All right, we're coming up on 3:45 right now. Thank you so much for staying with us. And it's time for our final conversation of the day. It feels like the time has gone by so quickly. And when we talk about the time going by quickly also, we were just having a conversation with JD Rudd about how, you know, we kind of wait for the warmer months or we can get out and do more, play more, whatever you'd like to call it, however you want to characterize it. Tennis is one of those things that really, I mean, you start to see more people out on the courts right around now. I mean, whether they've got to put a light jacket on or whatever, we start to see way more people out on the courts. And in fact, our next guest is hoping to put even more people on courts. Coach Barb Ruth is the junior play director at USTA Chicago and the coaching lead. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
So tell me is there a part of the year when you don't play tennis?
Not in Chicago. We have 40 indoor clubs and 4,500 courts. So summer is packed and winter you can always go inside.
Aha, okay, all right. I knew you would know. And I hear that you're giving lessons. Tell me more about where and why.
Yeah, so USTA Chicago, we are part of National Tennis Month, which is going on all over the country. And throughout parks in Chicago and some of the suburbs, we have family lessons and we have kids lessons, and then we have adult cardio and play days. So we started May 1st. We have 12 more to go. So 12 more events in 12 days. When you're talking about speed, let's get on the courts.
I love your passion for it. These are free tennis lessons that we're talking about for Jackson Park.
Yes, free tennis lessons. So you just show up. You have to register $10 online, but then that's refunded once you show up. And yeah, we just want to get as many rackets in the hands of players in Chicago that we can in the month of May.
Mm-hmm. How does that change things, making sure that you are offering this for free in Jackson Park?
It's not only in Jackson Park, but in many different locations throughout. And so anybody on this watching can look at this QR code and look at where these courts are. We picked different courts in the Chicago public court area that have great opportunities to play. We have another really big one that's going on in Little Village on Saturday as part of their community fest. The first 75 people who show up get free rackets, and we have a short court for them to play on. So it'll be a lot of fun. So that's Saturday. But if you look at this QR code, there's 12 more events all over the city.
Mm-hmm. I guess I'm asking about some of the areas because, of course, the tennis, you don't see a whole lot of diversity. And maybe some of these areas adding some lessons for people in those areas, going directly to those areas. Maybe you're teaching someone something that they wouldn't be able to afford otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have hired gal Miranda Rodriguez, Miranda is her name, and she is really pushing in the Hispanic community, which is awesome. This is a nice inroads into Little Village. So yes, we're trying to get the south side, we have the north side, the west side. We're trying to get to places where tennis isn't really accessible all the time, but get some free equipment out there, get some free lessons, and try to get kids and adults playing, and then into the indoor courts in the winter.
Now, is there too young or too old for tennis?
Absolutely not. I always say I'm a coach, and I say when they're out of diapers, I'll take them. So that would be 3. And then there's a lot of studies out there that say tennis is the healthiest sport, that people live 9.7 years and longer if they play tennis versus those athletes who don't play tennis. So there is no age differential.
Now, does that go for like all racket sports or specifically tennis?
As of now, the studies are tennis, but all racket sports are great sports and complementary. But that data that we've seen is for tennis right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And tell me about how someone picks up tennis, especially if they didn't pick up the racket at 3. If they're coming into it later in life, what are some of the first lessons? Like, what do you start with, and how quickly can someone really pick it up?
Yeah, so this is perfect timing right now with the summer months coming. We, USTA Chicago, we're doing lessons in, like I said, many different parts. It's called Tennis 101 for adults. So in 4 to 6 weeks, it's a way to pick up all the basic technique and strategy that you need to go and play on your own. All the clubs around have beginner tennis lessons. So if you're near one of the indoor clubs, if you're in the city, McFetridge, or one of the private clubs, always those kinds of lessons. And then again, same thing for children. We have all of the graded equipment. So we have red balls, orange balls, green balls, and smaller size rackets and courts depending upon the age and stage of the child. So it's never too late, never too early to jump in. And we just want to get more people playing.
Now, what is the state of the game, would you say? What's the state of things right now?
We are growing. We have the president of the USTA has a goal of 35 million by 2035. Right now in the US, we have 27.5 million people playing as of 2025. Here in Chicago, we have almost 400,000 players in our USTA Chicago programs. And that has pretty much doubled since COVID. So we are on the up and up. We're training coaches all over with USTA coaching. I'm training 70 coaches in the Chicago public parks this summer. And so with this demand in players, USTA coaching is trying to stay ahead of the path and get the right coaches with the right training and the right certification to give great lessons.
So with young people coming in, and they're always looking for who can they look up to. Obviously, the coach is an immediate person that you can look up to. But can you name some major players who have kind of living room recognition kind of people from Chicago that you would throw out to some of these young people who come into the programs?
Absolutely. Sloane Stevens might be the most notable right now. She came out of Excess down in Chicago, works with Kamau Murray. Taylor Townsend also started here. She's one of the better doubles players on the tour at this point. We have Katrina Adams, who was a Northwestern grad, was president of the USTA.
Wow.
Nationally, she got her roots here in Chicago. Van King has his son. He's a pro up in McFetridge. He's got a son, Evan King, who's playing on the tour right now. So lots of people that our locals can look up to.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. And for you, when did you start? I mean, how did you grow a love for the game?
I'm from a tennis playing family, so it was easy. My mom was a state champion in the 1940s, and she instilled the love of tennis in my entire family.
Oh, that's beautiful. It really is. And it's beautiful what you all are providing for so many kids and adults throughout the area, these 12 events. So I hope that everyone takes advantage of them. I hope that the weather cooperates for all of them. And I hope that there are many other opportunities just like what you're providing this go round.
Right. And coaches can always look at USTAcoaching.com. And if they take a little quiz, it'll show them kind of where their pathway in coaching is. And this can be for PE teachers, this can be for parents. It doesn't have to be a certified professional. It's anybody who's looking to start their coaching career. So coaches can start there, and players can go to USTA.com to look for play opportunities as well.
Let me ask you this before I let you go. Are there some names to know that when we get into some of the larger tournaments out there that you have on your radar that you think will be really big in the upcoming series?
Well, Yannick Sinner just had a big win, so he's one to watch in the men's division. And
He's
then
fun to watch.
Coco Gauff for the U.S. Let's watch her run, as well as many good men. The U.S. just haven't broken through to the top, but they're close. So let's watch this summer. And French Open is coming up, then Wimbledon, and then our U.S. Open in New York. So we'll be watching some tennis this summer.
And who's your favorite?
My favorite is retired was Roger Federer.
Ah, yeah.
Messy guy.
Totally understand. Well, thank you again for coming on the show. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Take care. Everyone, it's about 3:54. Give us 2 minutes. We'll let you know what's going on, how the stock market closed for the day before we get out of here. Okay, everybody, just a couple minutes left that we have with you. I promised you we would get you to the stock market to see how things close for the day. Let's start there. I've got a couple of things that I want to talk to you about. The stocks rallied back. So I want to make sure we showed you this because things were not good yesterday, and they were not good on Monday either. So you could see they're kind of fighting it out at the beginning part of the day, but really rallied as the day went on. And so it's really nice to see how stocks have jumped here. Oil prices, the treasury yields slid a bit. There's some growing optimism, though, that the conflict in the Middle East could soon be resolved. So that has to do with why we're starting to see some positivity there. The futures barrels sitting at just under $100. It's been a long time since I've said that. And the Brent crude sitting at $105, a little over $105 there. So as you see, the Dow Jones advanced to 645.47 points for the day. That's a 1.31% increase. S&P 500 rose. NASDAQ added 1.54% as well. So good to see all of those things. Now, what it has not been in terms of what was not good to see today, there was a massive sinkhole at LaGuardia. We have a picture after this work was done. They've been out there all day. If you think of a sinkhole at an airport, you know that is not a good thing. A sinkhole isn't good anywhere, but the airport might be one of the worst places. This was on the runway. New York City's LaGuardia Airport here disrupted plenty of flights today. It was found around 11 o'clock their time today, and they've been working on it ever since. They tried to get out there and inspect it. This was actually found during a routine inspection here, so the runway had to be shut down completely. Emergency construction, the engineer crews have continued to be on site throughout the rest of the day. The Port Authority of New York and New Jersey said it was in close communication with the airlines to provide some ongoing updates. But if you think about all these people who are trying to get maybe an early jump on the holiday weekend, not what.
Wait, that was not our camera.
It's not our camera guy, right?
Oh, that guy set himself up. The folks
He did. He totally set himself up when he said that.
That was really awkward.
Awkward and real.
Wow. Okay, we will see you tomorrow.
Live from Chicago, this is Fox 32 News at 4.
Ahead for you, Chicago is being